Welcome to the Tax Playbook. I'm Trenda Hackett, CPA, your Web CPA, and I'm with the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic. Here again, this is the tax book. This is your premier resource for all things taxes. And as always, I want you to like this video, share this video, comment on this video with your questions, and most of all, subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel so you don't miss out on this amazing content that we're uploading to you weekly. All right, today we're going to get right into our topic on today. We're talking about the Paycheck Protection Program loan, the PPP loan application. And I'm going to take you through a class. You're going to class today, and I'm going to take you step by step through completing that application. So you're going to complete a paper application. You're going to have all of your documentation ready so that once you're done with that paper application, you will be able to go to an approved PPP lender, go online and upload your documentation, fill in the online application, and apply for the PPP loan before that deadline. Now remember, the deadline to apply for the loan is March 31st, 2021. I want to recap some things before we get into our class or our workshop on today. Remember the loan amount, the minimum and the maximum loan amount. You can qualify for a PPP loan amount anywhere from $1,000 up into $20,833. You may say, why is this cap? This video and this class that you're going to be walking through to complete this application, it is only for self-employed individuals, sole proprietors, or independent contractors that have no employees, and you file the IRS form 1040 Schedule C on your tax return. Now I say you file it. You don't have to have filed your tax return, but you will have to have a completed Schedule C from your 1040 tax return, either for 2019 or 2020, to be able to apply for this funding. Here again, I want to reiterate, this is for single owner businesses like a sole proprietorship, a self-employed individual, independent contractor that has no employees. So your maximum loan amount, again, your minimum and your maximum, $1,000 to $20,833. If you get your Schedule C, pull that out. Find line 7 on your Schedule C. And your gross income amount, that amount on Schedule C, needs to be anywhere from $4,800 up into $100,000, and you can qualify for loan amounts within this range. Also, before you make the application, you need to have a business bank account. You have a chance to go and set up a business bank account because the funders will not deposit funds in a personal bank account. So you're going to need a business bank account. And in the class, we'll talk more about how you need to set up that bank account. Also, put your hands on your 2019 or your 2020 IRS Form 1040 Schedule C. Have that handy. Also, the other piece of documentation you want to have handy is you're going to need evidence that your business was in operation as of February the 15th, 2020. You may be asking, what are some of the things that I need? If you got a contract that you had in operation around that time, if you have invoices where you billed your customers and they paid you, you can use that as documentation. But you want to make sure the dates. You want to pay specific attention to the dates of the documentation. It needs to be in the month of February 2020. Also, you may have a bank statement. You may have invoices. You may keep receipts or a receipt book to show where your customers have paid you. But make sure you have those dates for February 2020 because you're going to have to upload that information with the online application. Okay, so we're going to get right into our class on today. I'm going to, and here again, if you have any questions, be sure to comment with your questions, or you may visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. So let's go to class. Welcome to PPP loan application step by step for sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals with no employees. I am Trenda Hackett, CPA, and I will be your workshop presenter or facilitator on today. The purpose of this workshop is to help you, to assist you in completing the loan application for a PPP loan if you are a sole proprietor, independent contractor, or self-employed individuals and you have no employees. That simply means that you are in business for yourself. You don't have any employees. You will complete a paper application, which then you will be able to take and apply for the PPP loan online with an approved PPP lender. So we're going to get into this process on today. So what are some items that you need? So before you get started, I talked about this in the previous part of the video. You need a bank account, a business bank account in a business legal name. You need the routing number and the account number of that account. If you do not have a business account, you can go and open a business account even if you may not have had it during the time of when you need to have it. So you may need to make sure you have a business bank account in a business legal name, and you can have that account either in your own personal name and social security number, or you may have what's called a DBA, doing business as name, or an assumed name, and you can get an EIN, employer identification number, from the IRS, but you don't have to have that, particularly for sole proprietors with no employees. So that's step one. So make sure you have that business account already set up at whatever bank, and you have the the account number and the routing number of that account. Number two, these are items that you need to have on hand before you start to complete the application. You can use either your 2019 or your 2020 IRS Form 1040 Schedule C profit and loss from your business. You have to have completed either one of those schedules for either year 2019 or 2020. You may be asking, how do I find the Schedule C? If you have already filed or you're in the process of filing your tax return and you have a need to report your business activity, you will report it on your tax return on your Form 1040 on Schedule C. Again, you can either use your 2019 or your 2020 Schedule C. If you haven't filed either one of those returns, you don't have to have the actual return filed, but you will have to have a prepared 2019 or 2020 IRS Form Schedule C. And if you need assistance with that, if you haven't filed, you will need to have that prepared. We can do that in the virtual tax clinic. You visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. But if you already have filed your return for either 2019 or 2020, you want to only just pull that Schedule C, pull it aside, and have it ready. Next, you're going to need something to show, a document like a 2020 bank statement or some invoices or a receipt book or a contract to show that your business was in operation as of February 15th, 2020. And you may be asking, well, what documents can I have to prove that? You can use a 2020 bank statement. Your bank statement is going to show transactions where people either paid you or where you were paying business expenses. So if you want to prove that you were in business on or around February 15, 2020, get your February 2020 bank statement that shows your business activity. Or you may say, well, most of my money was in Cash App. I didn't put it in the bank. You may have some invoices. If you use PayPal, if you bill people, you send people invoices, and you want to go into your PayPal account and find those invoices that you billed or people paid, your customers paid in February of 2020, and you want to pull those invoices because that will be substantiation to prove that you were in business as of February 15th, 2020. Also, you may be in a cash-based business where you keep receipt books. So you want to get some copy of your receipt books, but you have to make sure you get those ones that are dated February 2020. If you get a 1099, you can reach out to the company that gave you the 1099 and ask them for a transaction history of a detail of the payments that they made to you for the month of February 2020. So those are some things that you can get to in order to be able to upload with your online application to prove that you were in business as of February 15th, 2020. Now, it is my hope that you have all of these things aside. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to walk through the paper application. Like I said, at the end of this workshop, you will have a paper application. You will have the documentation, the supporting documentation that you need. Then you will take that information. Then you will go and find you an approved PPP lender, which is a bank, an approved SBA lender, and you will make application at that bank, and you can use your paper application because those are the questions that the online application is going to ask, those that you fill out on the paper application. So let's get into this. So first, step one, you need to visit the SBA website. And I have the website here on the screen. You're looking for SBA form number 2843-C with a revision date of March 2021. And if you cannot find this on your own, I have included a link, a direct link to this form in the description of the video. So get your hand on that form. And once you locate that form, if you look on the screen, your form that you're going to put your hands on, that form 2843-C, this is what it looks like. The title of the form is the Paycheck Protection Program Borrower Application Form for Schedule C filers who are using gross income, and this is a date of March 3rd, 2021. And look at the top of here. It says an applicant may use this form only if the applicant files an IRS Form 1040 Schedule C and you are planning to use gross income. And I'll tell you where that number come from on your Schedule C to calculate your PPP loan amount. So again, I want you to get your hands on this form. If you cannot go directly to the link, I have included the link in the introduction to this video, and you can click on the link, download that form. Either you can pull it up on your computer, or it's nice to have it printed out and you can write in it. Here again, we're trying to get this form completed so that when you get ready to apply online, you will have everything that you need to put into the boxes or into the fields in the online application. So let's get started. Now, the first item on the form says check 1. You're going to check one of these boxes, and you may be wanting to know, which box do I check? If you are a sole proprietor, you're going to check this box. If you do business in a business name and you have an EIN number from the IRS, so you want to check sole proprietor. It's just you're the only owner, you do business in a business name, and you have a tax ID or EIN number from the IRS. If you are a self-employed individual, you want to check this box if you do business in your own name and your own social security number. That is what is meant by a self-employed individual. It is an individual that does business in their own name. They use their own social security number. Now, I want to caution you that the bank account, the business bank account that you will open to deposit the funds in, that account needs to be in whatever name that you do business in. If you're a sole proprietor, you do business in a business name, and you have a tax ID number, you want to make sure your bank account is set up in that way. If you're a self-employed individual and you do business in your own name, if your own social security number, you can go to the bank and say, I want to open up a business account in my own name and using my own social security number. Now, if you're an independent contractor, you may be asking, when would I check this box? you check this box if you receive a Form 1099 NEC for the work that you do as an independent contractor. For example, if you're a real estate agent, you're going to get a 1099 for all of your commissions. If you work for a company where they give you a 1099, you're an independent contractor. If all your income on Schedule C, or the majority of your income, or if you have any income on Schedule C that you have a 1099 for, you want to check independent contractor. But normally, if you're a salesperson that is given a 1099, if you are a real estate agent, if you are a Uber driver or a Lyft driver, if you do Instacart, or if you do any of those type things and you get a 1099 for the services that you provide, you're an independent contractor and you want to check this box. Now, you may ask, okay, so what about the bank account of an independent contractor? I would recommend that you still have to have a business account, because they're not going to deposit these funds into a personal account. So you still want to get that account set up if you're an independent contractor or a self-employed individual. And you can also do it if you're a sole proprietor. If you do business in your own name and your own social security number, you can have a business account set up, and you want to make sure you have that in place before you begin to apply online for the funds. And I want to make a note here. If you are an LLC and you have only one member, one owner, and you file a Schedule C, you want to check the box that says sole proprietor. The next item, DBA or trade name, if applicable. Listen at what this says, if applicable. If you are an individual who owns a business and you do business in a name other than your name, that means you have a DBA. That means you have an assumed name. So if you do business in a name other than your own name or trade name, you want to enter the name of that business or that trade name there. Okay? So if you do not have a trade name or a DBA, if you do business in your own name, you're going to leave this item blank. If you do business in your own name, you're going to leave this item blank. For example, you may, like for me, my name is Trenda Hackett, and I do business as the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic. How would I fill out that box? I would put Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic as my trade name, and then when I get over here, later when we get to the business legal name, and you'll see the difference. The next item, you locate this on your application, the year of establishment. Enter the month and the year that you started doing business as a sole proprietor, self-employed individual, or an independent contractor. I want you to be aware this date must be prior to or on February 15th, 2020. If you started doing business after this date, and then you don't qualify to apply for the PPP loan. But if you started business in February of 2020, but you just established, if you say, I've been in business since 2019, but let's say in March of 2020, I just got my LLC. But the date you want to enter here is you want to enter the date that you started doing business, not necessarily the date that you established your LLC. And I want you to know, if that is you, if you've been doing business for years and years and years, and you just got your LLC, let's say in March of 2020, then you need to make your application in your own name and your own social security number, because before the LLC, you were doing business in your own name and social security number. Note, you must be able to provide documentation to show that you were in business prior to February 15, 2020. And this is the documentation you should have on hand to upload when you get ready to apply online. Business legal name. So the other part of the application, it talks about your DBA or your trade name. This is saying, what is the legal name of the business? Enter the legal name of the business. This can either be if you file paperwork with the state to get a DBA or an assumed name, that's not your DBA or assumed name. This is if you have, let's say if you're LLC and you say, okay, I'm going to do business in this legal name. This is the legal name of my business is XYZ Bakery Shop. That's the legal name on the paperwork with the LLC. But if you have not filed any paperwork with the state, you're out there just doing business on your own, then the legal name of your business is your own name. It's your own name. And this information, the name that you enter here, the bank is going to ask you for the legal name of your business. This should match the name that is on your bank account. That's why it's important if you're going to get a bank account in the name of a business and have an EIN from the IRS, then you would enter that name here. But if your bank account says that I am doing business in my own name and own social security number, you're going to enter your own name here. All right, the next thing they're asking for is to enter your NAICS code. You may be wondering, where do I find this code? So you remember in the beginning, I told you you're going to either have your 2019 or your 2020 Schedule C on hand. So what I want you to do now is locate either your 2019 or your 2020 Schedule C. It should look like what you see here on the screen. Once you locate that 2020 or that 2019 Schedule C, you want to look to find box B. And if you notice in the screen, I have it circled in red. And when you look on your Schedule C for either 2019 or 2020, you should have a code there. And that is the code that you need to enter on this application. So the bank is going to ask for this code when you go online, but I want you to enter this code on your paper application so you have it already available when you get ready to apply online. Next, the applicant size standard. Since we are walking through the process to complete this for a self-employed individual or a sole proprietor or a independent contractor with no employees, this is a single owner business, you're going to check the first box that says not more than 500 employees. So you're going to check that on your paper application and be sure the bank is going to ask you on the online application the same question. So you just make sure you check that box. Next, your business address. Notice that the instructions on the application says this cannot be a P.O. box. This is the physical location of your business. This could be your home office, or if you have an actual office where you get your mail at, where you do business at, you can put that there. The key thing here is must be a physical address. You cannot use a P.O. box. And I want to caution you, you be sure you put the address here to where you will get any type of mail. Although on the application, the online application, you will be given an opportunity to say, is this physical address the address where you receive mail? If not, you can input a mailing address. Now, the next item, business tax identification number. You want to ask yourself, the very first question you want to ask yourself is, what number did I open my business bank account in? Because this has to match your business bank account. So you ask yourself, what number? Is it an EIN or is it my social security number? If you use an EIN, an employer identification number that you get from the IRS to do business, and you use a name other than your own name to do business, you're going to enter the EIN. So you want the number that you enter to match the business legal name that you've already filled in. So If your business legal name is a actual name of a business, you have an EIN, put the EIN there. If you do business in your own personal name, then of course you're going to enter your social security number as your business tax identification number. Business phone, this is pretty straightforward. And I want to stress here, enter the phone number where you can be reached. Enter the phone number where the phone that you will answer. Enter the phone number where if the bank or someone needs to call for additional information, that they can leave a message. So make sure that the phone number that you enter here is one that you answer, is one where you can be reached. Primary contact. Enter your name as the primary contact on the application. You enter your name. Why do they ask for this? They may need to contact you and they want to know who is the primary contact, and you want to enter your name on this application. Email address. The same with the phone. You want the email address of the primary contact person that you just entered on the application. Be sure to include an email that you actually check. And the thing with email, as you're waiting to hear back from the bank, because the bank is the application process is totally online. The bank, most likely, some banks will call you, but the primary means of communication is through email. And here's one thing I want to caution you about emails. The bank may have sent you an email, but you need to be sure to check your junk and your spam mail, because you could have gotten an email from the bank that went there. And make sure that whatever email address that you put on this application, that you have cleaned that box out. That box is not full. So if the bank sends something, the email bounces back, then you won't get the communication. So you want to make sure that this is a good, solid email address that you check. And you want to always, probably daily, until you hear from the bank, till you get the final word from the bank, is to check your spam and your junk folder to make sure that you haven't gotten any emails in that area that you need to respond to. Okay, so now we're going to get into sort of like the numbers. We're getting ready to crunch some numbers on this form. And on this form, they're asking you for the total amount of your income. And they're telling you to look at a specific line on IRS Form 1040 Schedule C. If you don't know what a Schedule C look like, this is what it looks like in the screen. So you want to locate, you get your either 2019 or your 2020 Schedule C. So you want to look on that Schedule C, find line 7. Line 7, as I have circled red here. And in that box on the application, you want to enter this amount from line 7. And so here's one thing I want to caution you, and this is just a good practice tip. So you're applying for the PPP loan, and this loan amount is going to be based on the number that you have on line 7. You get the opportunity to choose whether or not you want to use the 2019 or the 2020 Schedule C. So if you have filed both of those, you have both of those right there. What you want to look at is this line 7. You want to use the Schedule C that has the highest number on line 7, because the higher that number, the higher your maximum loan amount. So the instruction for this, you want to locate line 7 on your Schedule C, enter that number on the application. Now, the next box, you're going to check the box, is asking you tax year used for income. Check the box for the tax year, either 2019 or 2020, of the Schedule C for which you are basing the loan amount on. So as I said before, you can only use one, either the 2019 or the 2020 Schedule C. So you're going to check the box to correspond to the Schedule C for the amount that you just put on the previous box where they told you to pull that amount from line 7. So you will know, either check box 2019 or 2020, but not both. Number of employees. You cannot leave this line blank because this application is for sole proprietors, independent contractors, or self-employed individuals with no employees. You're going to always enter number one here, and that's number one for yourself. And I want you to note, this line cannot be left blank. You must at least have the number one on this line. Now, if you notice on the form, it's going to say, if you do not have employees, complete this table. So that means you have to have some numbers in this section. You're going to need to have numbers here because guess what? The bank is going to ask you for these numbers on the online application. So number one, you want to locate your 2019 or 2020, whichever one you're using, only one, IRS Form 1040 Schedule C, line 7. Okay, and this is box A. Enter the amount from Schedule C, line 7, in box A. Now, you want to know, what should I enter in box B? So the result that you're going to enter in box B, so the next instruction is, you're going to divide the amount in box A by 12. And in box B, you're going to enter in box B, you're going to enter the result. Now, here's one thing you need to know. If the amount that you have that you're going to enter, if the amount is more than $8,333.33, enter the maximum amount, $8,333.33. Otherwise, you enter the amount that you got from dividing box A by 12. Okay, so that's what you're going to enter in box B. So in the last box in this table, you're going to do just what it says. You're going to take that amount in box B and you're going to multiply it times 2.5, and you're going to enter the result in that box. And the result that you are entering, that is the maximum PPP loan amount that you would qualify for based on the gross income on line 7 of your Schedule C. So you be sure to fill this table out because these are the numbers that they're going to ask for on the online application. And I want to make sure that you're ready, you have what you need, you can go straight from your paper application and enter those numbers into the online system. Now, there's another table. If you read that, it says only complete that if you have employees. This workshop is for those of you that are single owner businesses and you don't have employees. It's just you. So the next item, it asks you, what's the purpose of the loan? There are many boxes that you could check there, but for a self-employed individual, a sole proprietorship, or an independent contractor that do not have employees, you're going to check that very first box that says payroll costs, including proprietors' business expenses and owner compensation. You're going to check that one box. Because here's one thing I want, look at the note on the screen. The maximum loan amount for a sole proprietor, independent contractor, or a self-employed individual with no employees, the very max that you can get is $20,833. And with these funds can be used for business expenses, and these funds can also use to pay yourself, the owner. So that's why you're going to only check that box, because the goal is, once you get qualified and get approved for the loan, You're going to write that check to yourself. That's your owner compensation payment. And then you're going to write that check to yourself. And then next step later on, 8 weeks later, then you apply to have the loan forgiven because you used it on covered expenses like payroll costs that include your business expenses and your compensation. Applicant ownership. You have to enter your name, your title, your ownership percentage, and your address. It's only going to be your name here. So you're going to enter the business owner's name. This is not the name of the business. The owner, this is the business owner's name. You are going to enter your title as owner, and you will enter your ownership percent because you're a single owner business. So that means you're going to enter 100%. And then you're going to enter the owner's, your address. Now, if you go to page 2 of the application, this information here is pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. The top part is demographic information. You fill that information out. Then you look at the questions. So when you get in the online application, you're going to have check boxes where you can check yes or no. But you're going to have these questions already checked on the paper application so that when you get to the online application, you already know what to check. I want to caution you, if questions 1, 2, 5, or 6 are answered yes, the loan will not be approved. So you pay attention to how you're answering these questions. So when you answer all these questions, you go back and look on this paper application. If you have yes to number 1, or yes to number 2, or yes to number 5, or yes to number 6, then the loan will not be approved. Then there's no need for you to go online because the loan will not be approved. And that's all it is on the application. It's a 2-page application. I've walked you through that process step by step. If you write your numbers in on the paper application, and once you have that done, now you are ready to apply through an approved SBA PPP lender online. And I have a link here on the screen, and I'm also including this link so that you can go and locate an approved PPP lender, and you can click on their link and you can apply for the PPP loan. Now, this link, I have included it in the description to the video. I hope this will help you to navigate this process. Here again, if you have all of the things I told you to have up front, you complete the paper application. Now you are ready to go online to apply, and you will take your paper application and the documentation that you already have, because you're going to need to upload those items that I told you to have in the beginning. You're going to need to upload the Schedule C, whichever one you use, and you're going to need to upload supporting documentation to show that you were in business as of February 15th, 2020. Now, I hope this has been a great help. Happy application. And if you have any questions, please be sure to comment on the video and share. Just share your experience as well. If you're having any issues with the bank, you can comment with your questions. Or if you want that privacy, you can visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. Hit the Get Started button, and you can type your question in there to us and hit submit, and we will get back with you with the answer to your question. And one final note before we close out this workshop is that the last day to apply for the PPP loan is March 31st, 2021. Now, I am aware that some of the banks, some of the lenders, they are cutting off their process maybe like on March 19th, the 22nd, or they're cutting off their application process prior to March 31st, 2021. But you have the link there, so you find a lender that you can get on, and don't delay. Apply now. So now that you have completed your paper application, you have all of your documentation ready. As I said in the class, now you want to go online and find an approved PPP lender. You can go to your bank. If your bank may actually be an approved PPP lender, but I want you to remember time is running out. The clock is ticking. The last day to apply is March 31st, 2021. And guess what? Some of the banks, they have a cutoff. They're cutting off maybe like the 22nd, or they may cut off on the 25th. But you want to act now. You have been equipped. You have been empowered to take care of this application on your own. You have had a step-by-step class. And here again, if you have any questions or you need assistance, please visit us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com. You go out and you have a lovely day, and I pray that it all goes well with you and that you can get your loan approved. And once you get that loan approved, go back to our channel and check to see, once you get approved, how you need to spend it so that you can have that loan forgiven and you end up with tax-free money. That's all I have for you today. Bye-bye.